All right, it worked. Welcome back, everyone. It is Friday. I'm back from Japan, so this will be my first time catching back up with Emily, and we got Curtis joining us, who's also on a trip. So everyone, glad to be back. But Curtis, where did you go, man?
Yeah, so thanks for having me on. I spent a few days in Baltimore for a wedding, then was in Jacksonville with my uncle that you love to pick on because he played for the Bears, and then I took a cruise out of Orlando. I was gone for like a week.
Wait. I didn't know. I did not pick on him. I say that's why you're a Bears fan, though, because
Uh,
of your uncle. But Emily's, it looked like you were kept busy while I was gone. I saw you on you had a bunch of episodes. I know one just dropped for your channel with Captain Brian Waters. That was a great one. Also, you and Gus went live, I think Tuesday morning also. So you've been busy, but how's the past couple weeks been for you?
Good, just working on houses, and yeah, I don't really have anything that exciting working on houses.
Yeah, very cool. So let's catch up with things. We can talk about Japan a little bit later because I know Emily and Dallas, I believe, will be probably going next year. So you can talk about that. Oh,
Sure.
what? Not anymore?
No, I just always tell them I'm not planning the trip. So
Oh,
if he
that's right. Okay.
go, I need to know how many days I need to pack for, where I'm going. That's it.
All right. But yeah, I saw this clip and it's pretty interesting to me. I don't know if Curtis got a chance to look at it. I think Emily got a chance to check it out, but it was kind of an interesting one. So let me play it real quick. So here it is.
Not being cheap and being in brokey places or hanging around with brokies because you're never going to grow. Environments are very, very important. Your yacht, the Ferrari, Four Seasons, first class, all these expensive things, places, gym memberships. Get the most expensive membership, stay at the most expensive hotel, even if you get the cheapest room, because you want to be at that bar where you're going to have somebody that might be your next business partner, your next investor. You want to be in those areas.
All right. So before we dig into it, that was on Rich Sommer's podcast. I forgot the guest name. I think he does like credit card hacking and points and that type of things. But Emily, you responded back to me provocative when I sent you that clip. But what is your initial take on that?
I was trying to find, how is it where it's like provocative? It gets the people going. Is that from that figure Blaze of Glory?
yeah.
But I couldn't. It wasn't in there for the images, so that's what I was going for. But um, so do you think it's kind of a pick me mentality? People that are like, oh, if you just get in the right spots, someone's going to give me an opportunity. Like, I've never heard a really wealthy person say that unless they're trying to sell you something to be in a spot like their program or their core. I just feel, and I get it. I understand that you're not going to go to a certain place and find people that you want to go into business with, but maybe you will also. The wealthiest people I know, they would never be in places like that. They would never spend their money like that. And seeing them, you would never know that they had the amount of money that they have. And so I think there's different types of wealth. There's quiet wealth, and then there's ostentatious wealth. And I think it kind of depends on what you value and what you're trying to present as far as who or what you want to be or what you are when you get to that position. So I do think there's very wealthy people that are living that way, and that's for them. But I also know really wealthy people who I have had opportunities of coming into contact with because I've met them at like Home Depot, or they've seen me working hard really somewhere and given me an opportunity. So I don't think that's the only way. I think that's a way.
All right. Curtis, what is your initial thoughts on that clip?
Yeah, I think it also kind of depends on where you're at in your journey and kind of what your background is. Like, if you don't come from much, then I could see the value of trying to get into like certain meetups or things like that. Because Emily, I'm not sure where you're at, but I know you're in like a small town. Is there a lot of like real estate or investor meetups or groups or things like that?
Nope.
She is the real estate in Miami.
Right,
That
but
is Emily.
so if someone wanted to be around people in your area, how would they do it?
There's nothing like that. But you know, I think of my mentor who owns a lot of property in town. And when I first met him, I thought he was poor. I remember thinking, this poor guy, he donates so much to the community and everyone talks about what a good guy he is. And he's driving that shit ass car because he can't afford to get a nice one. Cause he would give his cars away to students or sell them for $1. And I'm like, oh, he gives so much away. He can't afford anything. That's really what I thought before I met him. And I've always kind of really respected that, of not having a bunch of flashy stuff. Like that's not really what I want to be. And I met him because he was my teacher. And some of the people that I know, I meet him at Home Depot because when I'm there at 6 a.m, so are they getting stuff for their properties. And so it's just kind of been running into people and getting to know people. It's not, there aren't even places like that. There's not fancy country clubs. There's not fancy. I mean, I've tried to organize real estate meetups and I've tried to get a rhythm for how to do it. And some of the people there are really wealthy, but the problem too is some of them inherited it. Some of them are getting into it. And I feel like I can learn more from the person who built it from the ground up than the person who was born into it. Like, yeah, you're working hard, but you didn't build it. So there's nothing I can learn from you because someone else did this, And so, we don't even have where I'm at. That wouldn't even be a thing that existed.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking of my area. I'm in that like Seattle area-ish, right? And so we have a ton of them, but most of them aren't free. So there is a price to admission. They start off small, right? Like $15. So maybe you get a drink while you're at the event, but there is things that go from $15 to, if you're in Thatch's group, it's like 10 grand for price of entry. But everyone that I've met that's gone through Thatch's program that's paid the 10 grand or more to get all their business from that group. And so it's paid for itself 10 times over, but the price to entry, now the argument could also be made that they would already be successful without joining that group. But that just was kind of the example. I was curious if that was in your market too.
No. And I think, when I listen to this man speaking and what he's saying, I just like, he's like, good on your yachts. Like,
that part was a little too far.
I get a membership, right? But like I might happen to be at an expensive hotel or bar that I can't afford to be at, and maybe someone will give me an opportunity because I'm there, right? Like, so a purposeful meetup versus maybe someone like if I'm having to extend myself to put myself in a situation that I might have an opportunity, maybe that's very general versus what you're saying, where it's I'm getting access to people that are doing the things, or like maybe like, hey, my way in is like when I started was construction. So someone might need a good contractor. I don't have the money to do a project. I'm going to have access to you if I get in this specific real estate related room. But the fact that I'm at a bar and maybe you need a contractor or an investing partner or whatever, to me, that's kind of like, that's like very far-fetched that it's going to work out in your favor for the investment you're putting in to be somewhere you can't afford to be.
Yeah, I think the hotel, the yacht, the car, I think those are a bit of a stretch. But I will say though, is that I kind of like the gym idea. Just going to a nicer gym, you are probably more likely to meet focused in like individuals because they're focusing on their health, right? It's like and maybe that gym has extra things, or maybe there's no kids, right? So that way there are more serious people there. So I could see the argument for the gym aspect.
I want to comment on a comment that Craig has over here. It says, I still cannot understand why if you're rich from real estate, you need to charge $10K for a membership. And I have a question for you guys, because I think of this a lot. I get that everyone's time is valuable and that we don't do things most people don't do things for free. One, I wonder how many people that have these expensive memberships, if they didn't have them, would be where they're at real estate wise, or did they sort of have a footing and then they started charging these rates and now they could use that money to invest in real estate and propel their real estate. The other thing is, do you guys feel, and I'm not judging somebody else, but I do sometimes feel ethically, like Dallas will tell me, hey, like, could you put this together and create a program or create something? And honestly, I feel a lot of guilt about that. And I always tell my husband, it's all on the internet, not that expensive, obviously. It's all free. You can find all this information. It's just that people don't want to do the work. And he's like, yeah, but if you put it all in one place and make it cohesive where someone can follow it, you're still providing value. Internally, I feel if I'm making what I need to be making off of real estate and I'm lucky enough to have this knowledge, should I not just be sharing it with people? Because $10,000 makes the kid that when I started out where I was at, that eliminates the availability of them being able to get the information, and they're the one that needs it the most. So how do you guys feel about that balance of it's fair to make money for your skills, but I'm eliminating the people that need this the most?
Well, I also think, like, let's say you did make a thing, right? You're not going to delete your YouTube channel,
Right.
right? So the thing with your YouTube is that it's all over the place because you're just posting with whatever you're up to, right? There's no sequence. Whereas if you packaged it up, the people aren't paying for the information. People are paying for the convenience of the order. So I think it's a different thing too.
Yeah. I just sometimes see people and it's like, if you're really making so much money, I just want, because I feel like the wealthiest people they're not putting stuff out there. They don't have time. They're running their businesses unless they have somebody who is packaging it for them. So like Alex Hormozy, right? He's running his businesses. He has a team packaging things for him. He doesn't have time to package it for himself. So I just kind of wonder when I see that and people are kind of new faces within the last handful of years. I wonder where they were at before they started selling expensive programs, or did the expensive programs make them be able to buy a lot of real estate?
Yeah, I think it also depends on like the person too. Because like the big course in our area is the Thatch's course, right? He was obviously very successful before he did the course. The course just exploded, right? But people are also getting the results from it too. So it's one of those things of, okay, well, yes, it's 10 grand, but if your project makes you 100 that year, well, it was obviously kind of like worth it. And in that sense, I also think it's good if the programs have like qualifications, like, hey, you can't even come into the program unless you meet X, Y, or Z. And I think that's a good difference too. That way it's not just like, oh, if you've never done anything, you can still come into our program. Then I think it's a little bit more predatory. But if there's qualifications, and it's at least, okay, you've proven yourself to do something at least.
Do you think Thatch's program is, because you're talking specific, like what he's doing, ADUs work in a lot of areas and not yet in some, right? Because of zoning rules and everything getting caught up. Do you think his program and the people that do it are successful because of proximity more than, hey, go build an ADU? But it's like they're finding, okay, I can partner with this lender in this area. I can partner with this actual person in this area that has this lot or has this land. So it's more the regional connections that you're exposed to than it is, oh yeah, do this specific process.
Yeah, I think it's the regional connections and the processes. I think they kind of go like hand in hand because it's the same process, right? And he's kind of done it now on the West Coast. He'll have meetups in Seattle and San Diego, since those are the big ADU spots. Also, another group which I'm actually helping with next weekend is the WARE group, or the Washington Real Estate Investing Group, and we're having a mobile home buying master class. But for that one, you've at least had to do some types of deals, be it a residential or commercial, right? So there's kind of that barrier to entry, but once you're in, it's that connection piece that everybody kind of has a baseline understanding, and then they're helping each other do the deals, right? Because one deal might be too small. If someone is larger, like, I don't really want this 5-unit and mobile home park. Who else wants it, right? So then you kind of get deal access there too.
That's cool, because I do think when I look at my journey, there's things that I would have done when I was starting that I won't do now, or like, oh, that neighborhood cash flows, but I prefer to buy in better neighborhoods now, or whatever. And so like, this is still a good buy, but it's not for me, or this is a good buy, but I'm not there yet. So you can bring him to the group. And I like that.
All right, hold on. We can't just skip to Craig's comment. It was a great comment he put there, question, but we skipped over some. So I do also want to remind everyone Curtis is also streaming live right now, so jump over to his channel and subscribe. And you can also jump to Emily's channel. We still haven't figured out how for her to live stream since it always connects her other channel, which is fine, but this one's a little different information, I guess. But I saw Cody Davis here, but there was someone that said, impressive, Curtis, you survived Baltimore and Jacksonville. So that was Janitor on Fire. He's in the Texas area. Chris Webb is here from Idaho. He says, hello from North Central Idaho. I'm married and travel quite a bit with Rachel, his wife. He said, we never hang out at the hotel, though. So I guess relating to that comment. But for those, Chris is actually relocating again. So he just moved to Idaho to take a position. But I guess it wasn't the position he expected. So he is resigning or leaving that position in Idaho, and he's moving to Tallahassee, Florida to take another professor spot. So yeah. Hey, this individual is new. Looks like Louie and Ollie. Good morning. Aloha. There was another one I wanted to bring up real quick. Chris Webb says, also, if this strategy is so effective, why not just join a country club?
I have a friend. Now I know this is anecdotal. This is not me. I can't afford a country club, but I have a friend. He's in Utah, and his clientele is people that make over $250,000 because he wants to kind of help them with their tax stuff, right? He wants them to buy a property and do depreciation or Airbnb or something like that. So for him, it made total sense to join the country clubs. That's exactly who he wants his clientele to kind of be. And so I think if that's your strategy, it makes sense, right? There's a direct tie to like your business stuff, and they make X amount of dollars because they can afford the country club. Whereas for, I think, some normal people, I don't think that's the best use of capital.
Let's see. Where did it go? Shoot. Oh, Flavio's asking, Curtis, I liked with your question. Did you find something fun to do? Frugal?
Yeah, on Dion's live on Tuesday, I told him that I'm on a summer break from teacher job, and so I asked him what frugal things are there that I could do, right? Because Dion's done a bunch of stuff, and so I have not found a thing yet. There's a bunch of free events this weekend because it's the 4th of July that I'll probably go and do, but I have to look at what the rest of the month holds.
Where you're at now, or where are you looking for stuff to do?
Yeah, where I'm at now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, me and Flavio are both in Washington.
Nice, cool.
And there's going to be a meetup in Seattle area. Joel, who's the Wednesday regular, is putting together a in-person kind of meetup with Chris Price from the community. So if you're in the area, go check it out. They did post about it in school. Lynn does say, agreed, I paid $200 for the gym, and you bet my ass I'll go almost every day. This also kind of, right, and it always gets into this topic, and we kind of never get off of it, but Emily and I discussed it before, but it also kind of leads to the private school, public school, right? Spending money. So, right, no, well, I mean, I think there's a lot of parents that do push their kids towards private school because of who they're going to surround themselves with, right? So I'm not sure, Curtis, you being an educator, what's your kind of thoughts on that a little bit?
I just want for the record to be known, I love the Bethel School District and everything that they offer. With that said, I think there is a value to surrounding yourself with other people too, and with private school, you can be really selective on who gets into the school and kind of teaching the values that you want your child to learn. And there's consequences for the people that don't follow suit, right? Because they're paying to be there. If they don't do what they're supposed to, then they're out. Public school, we help everybody regardless of what their views or actions are.
I can't wait till you retire. Then you can really speak your mind. Emily, do you want to answer anything else about? I know we've talked about it before, but
No, I was thinking, so I think there's these thoughts of how we wish things were and how things actually are. And so I thought of the private school thing as soon as we kind of got halfway through this conversation because we had talked about it before. I wish that you could just be the hardest worker and do the right things and good things would happen to you. And if you were a bad person and you made bad choices, bad things happen to you. But unfortunately, our world is more where it's who you know and who you have access to and connections. And I do think connections are very important for people. And so the true answer is building relationships with people that you can scratch their back and they can scratch yours. That's going to take you far. I wish it wasn't that way, but I think that's a true statement. But I just don't think randomly hoping that being in an expensive place will give you opportunity is going to do it for you. I think intentionally, like Curtis was talking about, a membership or a get together or a country club, yeah, probably going to give you opportunity. Same with private school, being around the parents who have their kids in private school. The parents probably are using it for networking just as much as they're hoping that their kids will have opportunities. So yeah, it's like people wanting to be in certain school districts and certain neighborhoods and, this HOA where there's the clubhouse and the pool and everyone's kids are there. And oh, let's just go ahead and someone at my job left. We're hiring. You are qualified for this. Come apply. You wouldn't have even known if they didn't tell you. So access is important. I just think it's sad because there's I've talked to so many people that pay for things that they think they're going to get value out of. It very clearly sounds like from Curtis talking in some of the comments that Thatch's program is valuable and people are getting their return. It's just scary because I've heard of people paying for other programs and not getting their return. They're like, oh, it's a school, it's a glorified school or a Facebook group, and it's really expensive and there's no mentorship. I can't get a hold of anybody. I paid a lot of money. And so I just think it's hard in our world where we can all throw something out there to pick the one that's good.
I don't know him, but I'll just throw his group out there. There's the Pace Morby, the sub 2 group. I would say that's the one I consistently hear. Like it really attracts like newer people, right? Oh, you don't need any money, you don't need any credit. Just buy the course. You'll learn this skill set, which is cool. I like the idea, but these people would probably be better off losing the money trying to learn on their own or do a deal on their own versus paying for the education without the teaching part.
I think it's hard though, and I kind of look at it as almost like multi-level marketing too, in a way where in the beginning people are probably getting a lot of benefits, and then the people at the top are always getting the benefits, and as it starts growing and almost getting too big for itself and watered down a little bit, the benefits are kind of gradually decreasing a little bit as you're low on the bottom part of the tier or pyramids. Even like sub 2, I think a lot of people that initially joined probably did get a lot of results, help, benefits. Pace was probably more hands-on, the group was smaller, so people were collaborating more with each other. Now it's kind of grown, it seems like, into this own beast in its sense, and it's kind of, there's some bad players, I think it sounds like, in there, right? And Pace can't really monitor and control all of it, I guess, because it just has grown to its kind of its own thing. So I think that's some of the problems a little bit with these courses too, right? Maybe in the beginning there's good intentions, and when it's smaller, it works well. But as it starts growing, then it's kind of hard to police a lot of the things. But Chris Webb says, I think for the money for mentorship is a tough question since most real estate is local. Buying a stock in Seattle and Rock Springs is the same. Real estate is not.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Flavio says, Craig and Emily, what I think is the relationship that you can find in those rooms is like school. You pay to be around good people. Yep. So that's also what. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go. I talk way more than you.
Well, I was just going to say that's kind of also why Zuber charges the $20, right? He doesn't want it to be free, where just people just going to join because it's free, and then now they start just lurking or providing no value in a sense, right? So $20 is at a price point where you got to spend a little bit of money and kind of not just there, it's because it's free, right? So definitely see that. And yeah, the school's a great community, and it polices itself. There's people that will kind of point things out, and I know Craig is kind of on that he's there to, he wants to learn, so he wants people to point out mistakes or something, some blind spots maybe that he sees. And some people may not like that, right? And they kind of weed themselves out after a while, right? But Craig is definitely pretty vocal in there, and I think that he's a great resource there. But he says, if you spend 10 and make 100, that sounds good, but it's a logic trap possibly. I mean, if you spend 10,
yeah, I think I was talking about like the cost of the expensive mentorships in our area, in which I guess I'd have to go and message people that maybe took the course, but I haven't heard from, like, hey, did you actually get the result, or did you just not post in the loss that in you had? Because that I'm sure that happens too. I'm sure these people take on projects and they don't make as much as they thought, and they don't post those ones, right? They only post the big wins.
Well, I guess we can, I do have a few more clips and I see some more comments, but I guess to that point, talking about wins and losses a little bit. I'm not sure if you saw Curtis or even Emily, but Ken McElroy sounds like he lost a lot of investors' money, or allegedly, or possibly, or what. There's been a lot of reports of that recently. So yeah, Brandon Turner might have been the first person to kind of speak up about his losses and be open about it, but I think there's more in the pipeline, and we're going to see who else has kind of gone down that path. But it looks like Ken McElroy may have lost some investors' money, it sounds like.
I think it's interesting because I've been watching Zuber's like financial news and stuff, and he's been saying this is going to happen, but it didn't quite happen yet, or at least the big names that I've heard of. And then we're starting to see the wave, and he's like right about the call that he made, is that these big commercial deals are going to start to get hit. And as someone that's newer on their journey, it's kind of nice to see the people that I watch and listen to actually be right.
Lynn says, it is like paying for a trainer. Everybody has something to say about real estate, but if you pay for a course, you're almost narrowing down your focus and getting a community out of it. Yeah. Chris Webb says, Emily is correct. I spoke with a college friend who examined syndication as his job about the Brandon Turner situation. He said the people with the skills didn't consider Brandon Turner a true investor. Huh.
I think the thing there is Brandon Turner, this is from the outside looking in, when he started with Bigger Pockets, he was a pretty new to intermediate investor. He talks about how he had a handful of rentals, and then somebody from his church, I think, sold a multifamily and seller financed it to him. So he kind of had an opportunity to go from, intermediate investor to I have quite a few more properties. And then that kind of gave him some legitimacy, at least like facing to the public. He had some good opportunities, and he had a voice because he was on a platform. He was learning with the people he was sharing with, but because he had a voice, people saw him as the expert. So, they always say, be the expert in your area or in your arena. He had this authority because he was on a podcast and he was very publicly present. And so people started wanting to invest with him, and he had a lot of opportunity, and obviously that grew. But as it went, I just look at what happened, and what the path he went down is something that could have happened to anybody who had the opportunity he had, but didn't have the training. And so most people that were seasoned in commercial real estate would go, oh, this is not fixed debt. If it only works at this really low interest rate, when this comes due, this is not going to work. We can't do the deal if we can't maintain at this rate. And I think he was just an intermediate investor who had a lot of growth and a lot of experience opportunity really fast. And what happened versus the guy that's been doing it for 30 years that we don't know his name, who would have said this deal's going to crash in a while. Right. And so I think that it was just something that opportunity, you try to make it work, it blew up. But that experienced guy wouldn't have done something like that, because we know fixed rate debt, or we know that commercial debt, when it recycles and you got to renew it, it's going to be higher. Those rates were not sustainable. So all those people involved in that, I don't know how somebody else also didn't go, hey, what's going to happen when this happens? And I don't know how it got through so many eyes.
Where did it go? Oh, Janelle, we're trying to get Janelle to join Gus and I on Tuesday, but she said she's a little shy. But we're trying to push her to join us. I think she has a great story to share. She's in California. I think she just closed on a duplex, I believe. But we're trying to push her a little, nudge her a little bit to join us on Tuesday. But we'll see if it happens. So you guys can comment and let her know that she should jump on with us. It'll be fun. Harrison, what is that? Go ahead.
I'll do one not alive if she's nervous about a live. Maybe you could do a recorded one first, just to not be as nerve-wracking.
Oh, there you go, Janelle. There's a see where Emily's throwing out a great suggestion. And I also told her she can have an adult beverage on the live stream, and we won't know about it, but she can do that also. But Harrison's asking, would you support homeschool and create meetup groups such as trades or sports?
Yeah. I think going back to the school topic also is, even if there are good public schools, like some people will move for districts, you still have to afford to live in the good public school district. So I was just in Jacksonville, and there's like a river that kind of cuts it in half. If you kind of live in the northwest part, then you are in the ghetto. You are in the rough part. But if you live underneath it, then you're in the nice area, the best, newest schools. And so, but when you look at the price differences for homes in that rougher part, you're looking at homes for about 150 to 200, like fixed up nice ones, right? When you go below that, you're looking at entry level 500. So there is this huge gap. And so when talking about public versus private, there's even differences within the public schools too. And then as far as trade betters question there about homeschool, we actually saw a huge uptick in that since COVID. Because when everyone went virtual, people were like, well, why don't we just do this full time? Our kid is done with school in 2-3 hours, and then they have all this extra time to do stuff that they actually like, be it coding or trades, or and then if they're homeschooled, they can actually go play for their home high school too, so that way that they don't lose those friends. And I think that's a phenomenal idea. If I had kids, that's probably the track that I would go down.
For me, I think the biggest thing is that's kind of where this whole getting your finances right is important, right? Because I think people may want to do homeschooling, but it's just not an option for them because both parents need to be working or something like, to that extent. So I think that's also why, having money or your finances in order is important. So it allows you to make these decisions, whichever way you decide, and it's not going to impact you financially, right? Let's see. There is Craig Mixagray says, if you want to create a financial barrier to entry, give all the money to charity. Don't spend 3/4 of it marketing. Interesting. Alex also has a great, he says, a great investor can be a horrible teacher. Sounds like Emily you want to say something on that?
No, I think there's lots of people that are really good at stuff, and they're so good at it, they can't explain it. You ever had a college professor who is really, really good at a math or a science, and it's like, so when I was in school growing up, there was a kid that was very advanced. So I was always in advanced math. So I was 1 year ahead, like normal kids, when you're advanced, you 1 year ahead, right? This kid was like 2 or 3 years younger than me, and he was in a math ahead of me. And so he was very advanced. He graduated at 15. He was really good at math, but didn't have a lot of social skills. And he, I think, went on to get probably, last time I talked to him, a master's in math. I think he got a PhD in math last time I talked to his dad. He just got it. It just clicked for him. And I think sometimes if somebody just naturally has a talent, they can't tell you how to figure it out because they never had to figure it out. They just have that brain for it. It's like the people that can play by ear, they might have a harder time teaching you to read music because they don't. They just play by ear. So how can they teach you? And so I think a lot of times people are really good at something, but they don't have communication skills. I've also seen people be really good in education at communicating and teaching something, but they're not implementing it in their own life. So teaching, and I'm sure Curtis can speak to this, teaching something is different, and being able to break it down for somebody who's not picking it up right away, that's also a skill in addition to knowing what you're actually teaching.
Yeah, like there's two things. I'm not sure if you guys are baseball guys or not. I'm not really a baseball guy, but this is the one example that I have is there's Barry Bonds, right? He has the most home runs. He's a Hall of Fame guy, but when he tried to teach people how to hit, it was terrible because he was like, just swing and don't you see the ball? And they're like, no, we don't see it like you see it. And so it's just like you have a talent for one thing that doesn't necessarily translate to the actual teaching of the thing.
Man, we're on the same wavelength, man. I was going to bring up Barry Bonds also, man. That's weird. No, but yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's just like you said in sports. It's not just baseball, right? A lot of times, even look at head coaches, right? Or it's usually not these players that were stars in the NFL. A lot of times, right? It's usually like the backup quarterback or back where they had to work. They had to learn the game, right? They had to play it at a different level to be, because they're maybe not as talented as someone that just has a talent to succeed. So they have to work harder, and that's what also makes them a great educator or teacher for whatever field they're in, right? So definitely a great comment by Alex. I'm gonna call out Chris Webb real quick though. I had to check while you guys were talking. I wanted to confirm this, but he does say, I actually think school is one of the best networking areas around. I also have been to a few PACE events, but they are a have to do the work community. But you have to sit through it. Oh, yeah, but you have to. So it's 100% of your time. I'm just going to give him shit because he is not a part of school anymore. So he joined school and now he's not in school. So I just want to call him out on that. So I'll give him a hard time. Just like him telling me he's coming to Vegas and then he cancels for like 2 years and 2 events already. Coach Nick, lead Pray Huddle. We're not doing our weekly Bitcoin wrap-ups for a while. He's on a trip in Europe. So he's gone to August. He's on I believe it's like a 50K family trip. He's doing well out there. But he does say Hormozi paid Grant Cardone like $500K for 4 hours. Said it was worth it. Depends on your goals, the questions you want answered, and the actual quality of the program or mentor. Yeah.
And also, I would say where you're at and what you can implement. So I'm assuming that whatever Grant Cardone advised Alex Hormozi to do was something very expensive with marketing and grabbing attention. Alex Hormozi had the money to implement what he was advised to do. Maybe it was, you got to spend $1 million advertising here and target this. You got to spend $1 million advertising here and target this. And you got to have a film crew put out 500 videos a month, whatever it was. Now, if we got that advice, I don't have the budget. I don't have the film crew. I don't have the resources. And so like if somebody in the tier above me says, okay, to get from here to here, here's what I did. I can implement that. But this guy over here, I can't implement that. I don't have the resources. So if someone up at the moon tells me what I need to do and I'm down here, I don't have the resources to make that work. So I also think it's important to look at the tiers of mentors that are accessible for you. If you're going to pay the money, can I implement what they're going to advise? Or do I got to do this before I can go to this next level of mentorship?
Yeah. And I think, Emily, I think your goal was to get to like 5 deals a year or 10 deals a year, right? Like flips.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a reasonable goal. We're selling 1, we're doing 3 right now. So, well, yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
was
Right. But the reason and that I brought that up was with what it takes to do that is different than what it took you to do 1 a year.
Yeah.
Or right. And so I think it's I think it's that thing. And I think if you set a goal for doing 25, that's going to be a whole different thing than doing the 3 now.
Yeah. And me and my husband talk about this because one of the things that I'm doing now that I didn't do when I started when I started, I had skills and I had no money. And so I did it all myself. It took me a really long time. Was it the most efficient way? No, but I would not have, I could not have done it if I had to pay the crew. Like the amount of money I have going out right now on 3 projects at a time is crazy. And for 20, it would be even crazier. And so I tell my husband, I look around and it's amazing to see what I was doing by myself, that there's 5 guys at one house doing. And he's like, I told you, you're supposed to hire it out, because I'll work really late and he'll be like, hire it out. I'm like, it makes sense now, but 10 years ago, we could not have done, like, it would not have been possible. So if like a new person coming in, and this is why I think it's good, like you said, some of these programs have, these are the requirements. There's different things for different places in your life. And if 10 years ago, someone told me, hey, just hire it all out, get a crew of guys, borrow money against your equity in your other properties. Well, I didn't have equity in my properties. I didn't have the cash. So the step here built to me to be able to be at the step here. And that advice would not have worked for me at that time because I did not have the resources.
Before I get into a question which kind of relates to what Emily just said, though, but I see Frank tuning in. He says, I got started again because of Brandon Turner. I want my money back. Good morning from lovely Watsonville, California. I did put Frank's link to his merchandise that he's came up with recently. So go check it out. He has like coffee mugs and bags and t-shirts. So definitely very cool. But then also Coach Nick does say, so if you haven't seen Frank's channel recently, he did post a video recently about a tough loss for him. I think he had a 30K turn on one of his vacancies just recently.
Wow.
But he says, I think it shows that not every deal is perfect or a win. Old Guy REI recently posted a video of a tough loss, but it was real, authentic, and proof not everything works out perfectly. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to put words in Nick's mouth also, but even him, he is a Bitcoin investor right now, and he's actually very down on Bitcoin, more so because of Michael Saylor right now, and Michael Saylor's I guess antics, maybe you want to say it, how he's acting out there and moves he's making is impacting the Bitcoin investors. So he's very down on Bitcoin right now, or I should say Michael Saylor right now. Let's see. Where did it go? Oh, Craig says you also can't be 100% results oriented. Just because you do great doesn't make you a genius, or if you lose, you're not necessarily a fool. Absolutely. And we can bring up Jordan, as we usually do. Like even Jordan, right? We'll say he's the greatest, but he, as a general manager, he's you could say he's failed, right? So probably the greatest basketball player out there, or ever played, but definitely hasn't succeeded as a general manager yet, right? So it's different, right? But Emily, you talking about kind of outsourcing some work and having more projects going on now. But do you think being frugal is sometimes just another form of fear?
Oh, for sure. Or and sometimes fear is healthy. I mean, we might be frugal because we have bills to pay, but I think when you come from a place of scarcity for so long, and then you get to a place where you can invest some money back in, it's hard to make that transition. I had somebody tell me once, you're stepping over $1 to pick up a quarter. And I probably repeat that or like a penny or something. And I repeat that to myself probably several times a month when I'm making a decision about, do I do it this way? Do I do it that way? How long will it take versus, and it's a transition. I definitely think we're scared because we have to be able to provide for ourselves and our family and make good financial decisions. But the shift it's a hard shift for some people, me included.
Craig does ask, though, where did it? I'll skip over a little bit. It says, Emily, how do you account for your time and the long hours? I'm the same position where I do most everything.
Yeah, I don't, because I think if I did, I would be sick. So the first flip I ever did, I remember, I spent a crazy amount of time there. And I remember telling my husband at the end of that, if I had tracked my time, I probably would have made like a penny an hour. Like, I don't know what it was, but when I was starting, again, I had the time. Well, and then halfway through I didn't, but I had the time. I didn't have the money. I would try a contractor. I didn't have the relationships yet, and I would not have a good experience. So I'd have to fix it, but I couldn't pay to do it twice. So I'd pay once, I'd take it out, I'd fix it myself. And so, no, I don't account for my time. I did it when I had to. I'll step in for certain things, and there's pieces I'm still involved. There's still pieces that I'm doing on projects. I'm just not doing every piece of every project, and eventually I will probably do a lot less. But I don't account for it. I think if you do it and you enjoy it and you want to figure out your time, you got to track it and then see what your dollar value for your time is at the end, and just some sort of tracking system. But I've not ever done that.
Frank, I'm not sure if you know, but Bill O'Connell says he got started because of you, Frank. But Frank also says there were plenty of losses in our first 5 years. One positive is now I have lots of video topics. Hey, Dirty Title Goldmine, aloha. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, we have a one thing I noticed too. We have a lot of California investors in the community, even though I give California a hard time. So they showed up in force on Wednesday for Angel. Angel is a new member of school, but he's been to all 3 events. He's a realtor investor out in California. But yeah, California showed up on Wednesday, man, to give me a hard time. Alex says I got an infinite return on Dion's binder course, and then at least 6,200 cash on his mentorship course. Yes. Harrison asks, what is the most important feature a mentor needs to have for you? So I don't know if Curtis, you consider yourself having a mentor, but I heard Emily.
With Emily's reaction, I kind of want her to respond to that last one.
Which one? The Alex's one, the infinite return?
Yeah.
Okay.
She almost jumped out of the screen.
Well, I just wanted to say, I remember talking to Alex in Vegas about the help and advice and guidance he had gotten from Dion. And I believe, if I remember right, he had said Dion had provided so much value to him before even buying a program, from his videos, from giving him advice on his investments. I don't know if you guys have meetups or like if you met him in person. Then he said, then I bought the program, honestly, because so much value had already been provided. And it was almost like, okay, you've helped me so much, I want to support you now that you have this program. So it wasn't like you're buying a program from somebody you don't know, like, obviously Dion is investing, he's sharing information, he's putting it out there. So, when you go to buy something, this guy's the real deal. I'm getting it from an actual investor, right? And so if I remember right, I think that's what Alex had said. He had already gotten so much value from him by the time he bought the program. One, that what he's going to provide is valuable, but two, like Gary Vee used to always say, like the punch, 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 jab, like provide so much value before you sell something. And it sounds like that's what Dion has done and was doing with his program. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And then
go ahead.
Trader's question was what?
Where the hell did it go?
Mentor.
What is the most important feature a mentor needs to have for you?
Maybe like availability, like being able to actually talk to that person. I can't imagine, because like, yes, you can go out and just buy a book. That's cool. I'm sure that we've all read books or listened to audiobooks or podcasts. But if I'm paying a premium, I actually want a connection there. And so while Zuber is great, you can't, like, at least I can't just text them and just say, hey, do you want to come see this property? Or, like, that's just not how it goes. So for me, the mentors that I really listen to most are the ones that are probably like local to me, and then that I can actually get in contact with when I need things. So, for example, like Dion has actually been in my home to help me figure out how to configure the house hack, or what upgrades to actually do or not do, right? Or my designated broker, like I'm a newer agent, so I need them to answer the phone for when I call. I can't just like hope and pray, I hope they get back to me. I actually need them to get back to me.
Emily, what about you?
Man, I don't know. So again, I had a mentor and I just fell into it, and I was so lucky. And I feel like I've learned more about, I've learned about investing from them, but I've learned so much more about life and the person I want to be and the type of person I want to be with money. And so I learned I never had like an official, when I started in real estate, I mean, maybe there were coaching things, but like this was 19 years ago when I started working for my mentor and his wife. And so I just was an employee, and it wasn't wasn't like, hey, today we're going to have a lesson. It was just proximity by being an employee and then watching what they were doing and the type of people they were. So I think for me, ethics and values are very important. I know that there's some people that can really separate, and I think you can learn from somebody that's maybe good at business and not good in their personal life and say, okay, I'm only going to take the business side. But sometimes I hear some of these people online and they are just snakes, and I see the way they operate and the way they advise investors to operate. And I don't want to feed the beast and support an unethical, especially in real estate. There is so many sketchy people that take advantage of seniors, that take advantage of people in bad situations to get a good deal. And I will not ever be that type of person. And so I don't want to support that. And so to me, values, morals, ethics are number one in anything. And then are they actually doing it? Or are they rich because they're selling a program? And sometimes that's hard to tell. And so if you can figure out, those would be the two things that would matter most to me: values, and are they actually boots on the ground, or have they been recently?
Craig says, I love it when Emily justifies my life. Alex also says, that is 100% correct, Emily. You're a rock star. Yeah. And if you guys want to see Emily on stage, she'll be day one presenter. First presenter, I believe, opening presenter for the Vegas event in January. I guess I'll read this one since Chris put it, since we mentioned LeBron. He just says, about the athletes coaching, not everyone can be Larry Bird, champion player, excellent coach, great executive, and 4 times the player LeBron is. Let's see, there was one. Oh, Emily Harrison's asking, Emily, would you create a mentorship like the one your mentor created for you?
It was just a job. I was just an employee and I just learned. I mean, it wasn't even that. It's just somebody I've built a relationship with and I was lucky to work for. But I literally was crawling under trailers in the middle of winter when the pipes froze, and alongside, I mean, have you ever crawled under a trailer? Like, cats go in them for heat in the winter. I had a dead cat fall on me. Like that. I mean, I was just in it. I just had a job and I learned in the job. It wasn't anything official ever.
Curtis, what are you doing now that it's summer to grow your business and your portfolio?
Good question. A few things. I have a few buyer courses, buyer classes planned. Each one I've done so far has generated between 100 to 200 leads. And so now it's actually having the time to work said leads. Because during the school year while teaching and coaching, it's like, well, all right, it's 4 p.m. I have a few hours to make some calls, and then that's it, But now I have all day to do the follow up and try to do more Facebook ads, because I've actually seen a lot of traction there, and then capitalizing on the events that I do as well. So like next week, I'm doing the mobile home park one that I'm going to help at. And the benefit of being around these large fish is that they don't want the smaller deals. And so trying to build relationships with them outside of the events is kind of what I'm going to be spending over like the summertime, and just trying to connect with as many people now that my schedule is open.
Would you eventually like to go full time into real estate sales, or is that just like for your investing that makes sense to have?
Sales would be nice. I am newer to it, so I'm trying to figure out what my niche is exactly. The nice part is, in my market, it wouldn't take that many deals to replace the teacher income, which is nice. But I'm trying to find that balance of like, okay, how do I actually make the exit possible without me being stressed, like, oh shit, I don't have anybody. So it's kind of that like balance now. And so I think I did the math. I think for me to replace my teaching salary would be like 10 deals would feel really comfortable. Now most agents don't do more than one, right? And so it's just like, okay, how do we get over that hump?
Is it your market? Like most agents not doing more than one because there's so many big fish that are doing like a ton of volume, and then there's like, I mean, obviously you have high price
Yeah,
houses.
that I mean that is a statistic, but I also think the statistic is skewed a little bit because to do property management, you have to have in your license, and to do wholesale, it makes sense to have in your license in our state. So it's like, okay, are they counting those people too? So I think the stat is skewed a little bit, but I know in our MLS, I think it was like 78% of agents did one deal or less last year.
Whoa, why even have your license? That's just, I mean, like you said, unless it's for property management but it's crazy when you hear those statistics and they're like, most agents didn't sell a house last year, or they sold 2 houses. I'm like, why? Let your license go, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, for some people it might make sense, but yeah, I think for some people they might just be better off to let it go.
I think so. Just to be encouraging to you, and obviously it's a different market, I do think that that's probably very much based on there are so many agents in our county that don't do transactions, and I don't know why they have them. And I also wonder, like, if they don't track per MLS. So, like, if I have an agent in my county that's on my MLS, and then maybe they're in a different MLS somewhere else that's their primary area, but they have this because they sold a couple houses, do they show up as no sales here but 20 sales here? So it's the average of 20 and 0. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if I wonder how they gather that statistic. I'd like to know more.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure if everyone heard, but Lauren, one of the regulars on Wednesday with Joe, she's going to be getting her license, she said, but it's not. But I think to kind of what you guys are talking, it's not for the sales. It's more she doesn't want to have to deal with reaching out to someone to see a property. So it's more, she just wants to get it so that she can just, if there's something, she can go look at it, and not have to, rely on someone else. Oh, see, we triggered Gus a little bit. I'll read. he says LeBron playing year 24, elite level, and Bird played 13. Whole body shut down, but y'all Bird is better. Well, okay, so I'll quickly just say I saw something recently that, to that point, LeBron, he's been great for 24 years or whatever year he's on now, but that's also maybe some of the luster's not there because his career has been so long that it doesn't have this like Jordan was just dominant for like this short, his whole career, but he had this kind of more of a all in like a 12-year career type of thing. I don't know. I saw it. I don't know if I sent it to Gus, but I'll go look for it and send it to him. Emily, do you have to go? I know last week you had to bounce pretty quick. So
I'm okay right now. No,
okay.
I don't. Closing statement.
Let me just, before I get to some more of the comments, I do want to just share this last. I had a few other clips or reels, but let me share this. I didn't send this one to you folks, so it'll just be your initial thoughts. But this was from the show. I think it's on HBO. I forget what, but it's Succession. I don't know if you guys seen that before, but here, take a look at this clip.
I was just talking to my mom, and she said apparently he'll leave me $5 million anyway. So I'm golden, baby.
You can't do anything this fight, Greg. 5 is a nightmare.
Yeah. Is it?
Oh, yeah. Can't retire. Not worth it to work.
It really is.
5 will drive you un poco loco, my fine feather Trent.
Poorest rich person in America. The world's tallest dwarf.
The weakest strongman at the surface.
All right. I don't know if you guys seen that show before, but what is your guys' thoughts on that?
You know what? There's different strokes for different folks. I think majority of America would probably laugh at that scene, just saying, "What the hell are you even talking about? $5 million is more than enough." I think I just saw Scott Trench post on Instagram or something like that, saying if most people just got to like $1 million or 2.4, they're set, they're good. And these people are talking about 5 to 2 to 2.5 times that. And so it's like, okay, what kind of lives are these people trying to live? Like, if you want yachts and all that stuff, okay, maybe 5 isn't enough, but for most people, I think that's more than plenty.
Emily, you have some thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'll take 5. Let's.
Yeah.
But I think obviously based on what that show is called, I'm guessing it's about wealth transfer from generation to generation and maybe some soap opera type shit, I'm guessing. And so these are probably spoiled rich kids who have an expectation of a certain life, maybe East Coast, like expensive area. They have expensive taste. They're on yachts. They're on private jets. Is this right? I'm guessing for something called Succession.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So they're living a different life. And I think as more things there's people acting richer and we're seeing more rich people with TV and reality shows and people, whatever, there's this really weird expectation of what success and wealth is. And so people think that way. But to me, yeah, there's nothing I can do with 5. The cool thing about 5 is I like what I'm doing, so I would keep doing it, but I wouldn't be stressed about it. And so it would be for fun, it would be for joy, but 5 would more than take care of my family.
Yeah, and I think when we kind of on the sports things, and you don't have to know sports to kind of get this, but these guys, they get these huge contracts, right? Like baseball, it's fully guaranteed, right? These millions of dollars. And then we always hear these stories of these guys going broke. It's because they don't manage it. They just ball out for however long, and then they're like, oh shoot, well 10 years later I'm poor. And so I think if you can just manage the money, have good stewardship, then you're going to be pretty comfortable. And now I think the harder part is now that money's not a factor, what actually is going to make you happy, because you don't have to work. Like you could, but you don't necessarily have to. I mean, 5 million at a certain percentage, you're pretty comfortable. But I think it's the harder part of now what's going to be fulfilling now that money's not really the thing.
Gus trying to defend the problem with greatness is that when it shows up every day, people stop calling it greatness and start calling it normal. One rental at a time. LeBron, same lesson. Okay, I like that. Alex does say Curtis is the great connector. He knows all the events going on and everyone involved in real estate investing. Hey, Marlon's tuning in. Says, good morning. A mentor should not be in the news losing 50 to 50 million of investor money. Ken needs to come clean. Yeah.
Well, what's going on there? Did you did you say there was a clip? Did he come out about it publicly, or are people talking about it that were investing with him?
I don't think he has mentioned anything yet. There was I don't know if there are clips like article type, not article, but I'll send it to you after. But it was in the WhatsApp chat too. But there's also like a kind of like a review portal type of thing of investors, I think, reviewing the deal or commenting on the deals and stuff. So anyways, Zuber had a video mentioning it about the situation. And even another, what's his name again? Flip Anything USA. What's his name again? Tom. I forget. But anyways, he's been on Zuber's channel a few times. But he also did he's been calling McElroy a fake billionaire for a while, though. He's been calling out Ken McElroy for a while. Well, he calls out everyone. He calls out Pace Morgan. He calls out Ryan Pineda. He gets along with Zuber though, but he calls everyone else out. But there's things he doesn't agree with Zuber also. Yeah, so there is some. I'll send it to you after, Emily. But okay. Yeah, so people are just kind of Zuber's talked about it for a while, that we're kind of like in the first inning or second inning of a 9-inning baseball game, and we're really starting to see the dominoes fall, and people are coming out. Oh, Tom McKay, that's right. Wow. But people are talking about a lot of these syndicators who, are kind of hanging on, and little by little, we're hearing more things come on in the news. So Brandon Turner was just maybe that first big name to be open about it, but maybe he wanted to get ahead of everyone else and be the first one out there. And now people be talking about Ken McElroy and stuff like that, right? Charles says Ken has said some of his deals weren't going great. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about and bring up?
I think is talking about mentors and mentees, if anyone out there is kind of like in that newer stage or trying to figure out who else can kind of help them, is find the person, and there's ways you can weasel your way into these rooms or into these people's like environment. I did that with Dion. I heard him on Bigger Pockets. I was like, Tacoma, wait, I live there. So then I kind of crafted a way to weasel my way in to meet this guy, and now we're cool. Or if there's events or groups in your area, if you can offer something to that group, then they're more likely to kind of bring you in. So for example, with the Washington Real Estate Investing Group, that's the biggest Facebook group. There's over 20,000 members. It's awesome. But for them, I noticed that no one was trying to set up the event. Like there weren't chairs out. So I was like, oh, do you want me to show up early to help you set things up? And I kind of started doing it that way. And it's kind of worked out well. So now I figured out how to do the check-in system with tickets. And then come September, I'm actually going to be the MC or the host of the event. So this kind of weaseling your way in by doing the stuff that people don't want to do. And then eventually you'll do the cool stuff.
Yep. So you need to make sure that now that you have your real estate license, that all these things you're doing, all these people you're connecting with, they know you're a realtor, because you were participating before and you weren't. Like if I'm an investor and there's someone that's provided value, like I don't need someone to tell me if a deal's going to work or not, right? I as an investor, I know. But if they need a realtor, would they not rather support somebody who's been a resource and who they like? So for you, the most important thing is making sure that all these people that already know you and like you in your area that are buying and selling, they know that you can help them with that service. So you need like a freaking pin, or like make sure all these people know, because they already know you and like you. So they just need to know, because it sucks so bad when someone buys and like, shit, I didn't know you were a realtor, so just make sure they all know.
Yes, I've done the math once and it hurt that one time. I don't need to do it anymore.
I do want to remind everyone for the Vegas event in January. Yeah, just if there's someone you want to speak with, one of the presenters, Emily, I'm sure Emily was there both days this past year. I mean, people are available, right? If you want to talk with someone, connect them. Dion, hopefully, yeah. I mean, I think Dion and Lumberjack weren't as accessible this year because they were recording quite a bit. So I think Zuber's going to try and get them out there a little bit more again this next year. But yeah, if there's anyone, that's what was great about like Coach Carson was there the first year, right? He was just basically sitting in the crowd, and you could go up to him, talk to him, ask him any questions. So everyone is super available. Yeah, Flavio. Yes, tomorrow, everyone. Remember, it is the 250th birthday for America, USA, right? So what is Emily?
I saw a meme where somebody was talking about and you never know if these are real. It was like comments, happy 250th or 250th birthday to our world or something. And someone commented, no, the world's 2006 or 2026 years old. America is just 250 years old. And I was like, oh my God, I hope this isn't real.
Well, yeah, that's like the people that I'm gonna leave the country, right? And they go to Hawaii. They go to Hawaii. I say, what? Yeah. Marlon says, I love it. Curtis, good advice. Yeah. Anything else you want to wrap things up? You guys want to, Japan? You want to know more about Japan, Emily? Or you're going to go there next year?
Oh,
right?
Yeah, but I'll grill you separately on that. I'll probably have a list of actual questions from Dallas. So yeah.
No,
Mark,
Japan.
are you going to move there? Is that the plan? Are you going to be?
I think I lean more. Well, I'm not going to move there. I'll definitely spend a lot more time there. However, I haven't decided yet, because you can buy home. There's a guy that has his YouTube channel, and there's a lot of people that, especially in Hawaii, they go buy properties there, because I think they're like, you can buy for like 70,000, 80,000 homes. And the further you get out from the cities, they're even cheaper than that. So it just depends to how close you want to be to the cities. There's probably some hoops you got to get through to purchase, but that's why this individual has a social media kind of platform that he helps foreigners buy properties. There's a lot of fire guys that retire. They buy they buy a property together, but a lot of them snowboard, so they use it more of as a hub, so that they don't have to keep bringing their gear with them. So they'll just kind of store it there, lock it up, and then they kind of coordinate who's going to be there or when they're going to use it, and that way it saves the hassle of having to bring their snow gear all the time. So that's what some of them are using it for. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I kind of like how Dion's thought too is more like just get more investments where you're kind of familiar, right? In the US, you have 30-year fixed rate debt, specific markets, and just get your investments to basically pay for when you're gonna spend time there, right? So that's probably more what I'm leaning towards. But yeah, it's great there. I mean, if you haven't been there, Japan is amazing, especially with the dollar being so strong right now. It just, your money goes so much further. So even buying like sushi dinners, or it's like sometimes you don't realize what it's costing in US dollars, because you pay for it, it shows up in yen, and it's like whatever 10,000 yen it shows up. And you're like, oh man, then it calculates it on your Apple Wallet after, and it's like $60 or something. And you're like, oh man, that'd be like $200 back in Hawaii or something. But it's a lot of fun. Nara Park, if you haven't been to Nara Park, they have just deers running around, because like that they feel like deers represent this kind of higher being or power, and it's but the deers are you can buy these crackers too on the side of the road from the old ladies, and then start feeding the deers, and the deers are like, once you get the cracker, they know you have it, and they just start swarming you. They start biting your butt. If you're not feeding them, and they start, but if you put your hands up, then they walk away. Like they know that you don't have any if you just put your hands up. And then you bow to some of them, and they bow back, the deer. So it's cool. Yeah. Universal Studios is amazing in Osaka. The Osaka Aquarium is amazing. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. But definitely got to get the transit. So yeah, Emily, you and Dallas got to make sure you get the transit app on your phone. You guys have iPhones?
Yeah.
So that's super helpful, because you can put it right on your phone. Androids, and for some reason, there's no app yet available to put the transit card on your phone.
Haters.
Well, it is what it is, man. But you can still get a card. You can get a physical card. It's just having it on your phone is definitely a lot easier.
Mark, is your birthday on the 4th of July?
All right, we'll wrap things up today, everyone, and
Mark's
I will be back
on the 4th of July, because he's not answering. Is it?
Yeah, and so Anna was born in 1976. I was a bicentennial.
Oh my gosh!
I'm a bicentennial baby. So yes, I will be 50 tomorrow, everyone. Thanks for reminding me that.
That you're born in 1976 on the 4th of July. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, we don't, after 40, they don't really, all the birthdays. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Anything else you guys want to wrap it up with yet? I mean, I think this was a fun one. I'll save some of these other clips that I had for next week maybe. Curtis, are you coaching anything though? Do you coach in the summertime?
No, during the summer, I'm having it all in real estate. I used to do like private football training, but I thought about where my time is best spent, and I had to kind of put that on hold. Eventually, I'll go back to that, because I really did love that. But right now, I need to make some more money.
I think Gus has a new video for Behind the Doors dropping in about 15 minutes. He puts it on Premiere. So I believe in 15 minutes, he has a new video coming out. Definitely go check out Gus's channel. Emily, that was your most recent one, right? With Captain Brian Waters.
A couple days ago.
Yeah, so Captain Waters will be speaking at the Bigger Pockets event also in October. And yeah, that's all I got for this. I mean, everyone have a
Chris Webb's comment.
Where is it? Yeah. Until he comes to Vegas, right? I'm going to give him a hard. Didn't they make Born on the? Yes, they did. All right, everyone. Well, everyone have a wonderful 4th of July weekend. Stay safe out there. Emily, thanks for always doing this. Curtis, thanks for joining us. I like when you're not teaching. I like when you have the summers off and you can jump on more often.
Me too.
And I can't wait to leave and then you can speak your true feelings. All right, everyone. Out-of-state investing call may still be going on in school, so go check it out. Jump on over there. But everyone have a good start to the weekend.